Welcome to the Women's Wellness Podcast, where we interview experts in various fields with the goal of empowering women to make informed decisions about their health, life, and family. I'm your host, Amy Jane Smith, and I would like to thank you for tuning in today. So get comfy while I introduce our next guest. Hello and welcome to the Women's Wellness Podcast. My name is Amy and I'm your host, and welcome to the first episode of our second year. I can't believe that I've been doing this for a year. It is absolutely amazing. So happy new year to those of you listening. Thank you to everybody who has listened and who has interacted and who I have interviewed over the last year. I'm looking forward to doing lots more. So because it is New Year, I wanted to get started with SMART and holistic goal setting. And I've put in the word holistic because when it comes to New Year, a lot of people tend to focus a lot on diet and exercise, and it can be that other aspects get left behind. So by having a holistic approach, you should probably get better results if you stick to it and if it's smart. So let's go through the SMART goals first. It is something that's bandied around a lot. You've probably heard of it, but I will just remind you of what each letter in the acronym stand for. So the S in SMART is specific. So the goal you have, it must be specific. So let's use weight loss for an example, because it is New Year. Saying that I want to lose weight is great, but how much weight? Let's say, so myself, I went up, I like to sit between 60 and 65 kilos. That's my kind of good area to be in. 60 is when I'm feeling lean. 65 is when my clothes start feeling a bit tight. So that's kind of my area. And so at the moment I'm sitting at the 65 mark. My goal is to get down to about 62, 63. So I'm looking to lose 3 kilos max. That is specific. And it means that I can track it as well. I can see what I'm doing. And also specific, as in I want to be able to be more comfortable in my nice black pants that I have. The next one, is it measurable? So again, if it's specific, like a certain number, I want to lose 3 kilos or 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever it is you want to lose, it's measurable. Because you can go, okay, I'm here, I want to get to here, and you can track it. If you want to, I know people who have put line charts. They put graphs on a fridge, and once a week or once a month, they pop a dot on the line chart and they track it, and they can see where they're going. So by jumping on the scales, you can track your weights. If you are not checking your weight and you're checking more fit of clothes, maybe measurements will help. So by doing chest, waist and hip measurements, that might help you to track it, because you know if that's getting smaller, then you're going in the right direction. Yeah, makes sense. Same if you were looking to bulk up, if you were doing bodybuilding or something like that, or you were told you needed to gain weight. Again, measurements are much better than just arbitrarily going, yeah, I'm going to lose weight, and then a few months go by and you're doing the same things and not tracked anything, and you're just either the same place as you were when you set the goal, or you're worse off. Now, speaking of weight loss, on this weight loss goal, think about whether it's attainable or achievable for A. It could be that maybe you have a lot of weight to lose. Maybe you are 120 kilos, you used to be 80 kilos, and you've got 40 kilos to lose, that's a big number. Okay, how about breaking it up? How about going, oh well, I can lose 5 kilos. 5 kilos is nothing, that's fine. Pick that one first and then work towards that. Tick that one off, and then you go, okay, I've just got to lose another 5 kilos. I'll use an analogy. Actually, I've got, when I first started my fitness journey, this was 7 years ago now at the time of recording, my perception, my thought about myself was that I couldn't run, I couldn't cycle, I couldn't do anything that required high aerobic activity because I was asthmatic. I still, I suppose, technically am asthmatic. And if I did anything like that, my chest would get tight, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I signed up to a boot camp, and the most I ran in that whole boot camp, the longest time, so the goal I set was to be able, I think we ran for 8 minutes, was the maximum length of time, was right, go for a run. We've got 8 minutes, be back by then, or do as many laps as you can in 8 minutes. My goal, I signed up for a 5K run, the Auckland Marathon 5K. That was my first ever run. It was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. I was trying to do it by myself. I couldn't do it. I was slacking. So I joined this boot camp to get me fit, to keep me motivated. And I ran, I think the week before the 5K run, I managed to run for 8 minutes. That was the longest I have ever run in my life at that point. Up until that point was 8 minutes. So what I did when I got to the start line of the 5K, I had a timer on my watch and I set it for 8 minutes. I knew I could run 8 minutes. So every time it went off, it was like, okay, yeah, I ran for 8 minutes. And then I reset myself. I reset the time and went, all I have to do is run for 8 minutes. I can run for 8 minutes. I know I can run for 8 minutes. So I'm going to run for 8 minutes. And I did that for the whole 5K. I broke it up. Even the kilometer marks, I made it to the first kilometer without stopping. So I went, okay, I made the first one. All I have to do is run a kilometer. And then I got to the second one. All I have to do is run a kilometer, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Yeah, I did push myself a bit too hard and wasn't wearing the right shoes and ended up injuring my ankle. But I got out of the I can't do it aspect. I got out of the looking at the big picture of the 5K mark, and I broke it into sections that I knew I could do. And I achieved it, and I did it in 30 minutes. And it was amazing. Yeah, so that has always been a really huge achievement for me to be able to do that. And hopefully that gives you some idea of a way to maybe break it down into something that's achievable or attainable. So like I said, if you think, okay, 5 kilos is nothing, I can lose 5 kilos, then lose 5 kilos. Then you just go, I just need to lose 5 kilos, and lose 5 kilos, like that. Remember, all of these goals, like you've got to look at this realistically as well, which is our next letter in the acronym. Just look at yourself like, I don't want you to get obsessive over this. You've got to live your life as well, and life still happens and life still carries on. So you've got to be realistic. And if a birthday party's coming up that you know you're going to overindulge, be realistic, like have a piece of cake, don't kill you, don't like beat yourself up over it. And yeah, I don't want anyone going down the road of eating disorders. That's not what I'm advocating here. It's for healthy, sustainable weight loss, okay? If that's your goal. If your goal is something else, like you want to earn $1 million, how are you going to do that? Can you earn the first 5 grand and the second and the third, or I don't know, whatever you want to do? Yeah, what I'm talking about here is weight loss, but just be smart about it. So realistic, is it realistic that you can get back to the same weight that you were in high school? Is that realistic? Are you just going to beat yourself up about it because you can't fit in those skinny jeans that you had before you had your babies? Is it realistic? Are you just going to hate yourself because you can't do it? Or is there a better goal that you can do that is realistic right now? You might be able to fit into those skinny jeans at some point, but is it realistic right now? That's the main thing. Think about right now. If it's not realistic, shift it. If you're thinking about this goal and going, and you're panicking about it, you're stressing out and you're thinking, oh, I need to do it. Maybe it's like a 3 out of 10 that you think you're going to be able to achieve it. Change it, make it easier. Make it easier, make it more realistic. So it's then maybe an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. If you can make it a 10 out of 10, even better. It doesn't have to be a huge, lofty goal. Just make it realistic, something that you can actually do. Okay. And then set a time frame for it. So T is time bound within a certain period of time. Now, healthy weight loss is gauged at an average of 500 grams a week. It is not heaps. You may lose a lot more to start with and then it may plateau, but just think about that. So don't say I want to lose 20 kilos in a month because, or you're going to join this challenge and you're going to lose all this weight. Think about it like that. So break it down into maybe 500 gram portions, or say I'm going to lose 5 kilos. What's that? In 5 weeks, 10 weeks, in 10 weeks, 5 kilos in 10 weeks. That's possible. Okay, 500 grams every week. It doesn't sound like a lot, but by 10 weeks, almost 3 months, easy peasy lemon squeezy, I just got bitten by a mosquito. Little swine. Sorry. Yeah. So put a realistic time frame on it. So does that all make sense? Let me know. I'm always welcome to like chat with people about this. So come and join me in my female pelvic floor support group. It's basically a support group for women that's health related. I am a pelvic floor coach, so that's what it is. But if you have any other questions, you're welcome to join. You're welcome to ask about nutrition, about weight loss, about fitness, anything like that. It's not just restricted to pelvic floor. Or you can send me an email, or you can comment on this portal. Now, because it's New Year, I see a lot of people talking about diets, shakes, multi-level marketing companies often come out at this time of year, either just before Christmas or just before summer if you're in New Zealand, leading up to summer for the new summer body, and then after Christmas, after New Year, they're all coming out of the woodworks to sell you their shakes, meal supplements and powders. Be careful with those because you have to be smart about it. Again, the word SMART is not just an acronym, it's a way of life, really. Be smart. What I recommend, so with these supplements, sometimes they're not quite equal to a real meal. So you have that's supposed to fill you up in place of lunch or breakfast or dinner. And then it's lower calories, so you lose weight. You've got to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, and that is a good idea to kind of add exercise with that. So not to cancel out the bad foods that you're eating, quote unquote bad foods that you're eating, but more to give yourself a healthy balance. Now, with diets, with all the diets that you see in the magazines, not just multi-level marketing companies, but diets that you see in the magazines, they're all going to put you in a calorie deficit. Calorie deficit means that you're going to lose weight because you're burning more than you're taking in. If you are just on a restrictive diet and you're not exercising, then what is going to happen is your body is going to start losing mass. And I say mass because it's not necessarily going to be fat. You may lose some fat, you may lose some muscle. And the reason is our muscle mass requires a lot more energy to keep. And this is why if you have more muscle mass, your metabolism burns higher because you've got more muscle mass, you're burning more energy to keep it. Fat, on the other hand, doesn't require much energy. So the body's going to get rid of the heavier weight, I suppose. Not, say your body's like a hot air balloon. It's going to lose the big thing that's taking up more energy, more resources than the little thing that's not really doing much. So it'll start breaking down the muscle. When you decided that A, you've reached your ideal weight, or B, you have decided that the diet is rubbish and you hate it and you just want to eat cake, you're going to put on the weight again. So you'll stop doing the calorie restricted diets, you'll stop doing whatever it is that's putting you in a calorie deficit, and you'll start eating possibly how you were before you started the diet. Probably you'll be treating yourself because you've worked so hard, so you might eat more. Then what happens is you don't have as much muscle mass as you did. So you'll not be burning as many calories at rest as you did before when you had this muscle mass. You're going to have some fat mass, but you're going to put on fat more than you'll put on muscle. Okay? And that is when you kind of look heavier, your clothes don't fit as much, because fat, imagine a kilo of fat and a kilo of muscle. It's like a kilo of feathers and a kilo of brick. The feathers are going to take up a lot more room, the fat takes up a lot more room, and it kind of, that's when the yo-yo dieting starts. So what I recommend for a more holistic approach is look at the whole body. Look at what you're putting into your body. So don't just go out buying all the diet foods. Start supplementing, and I mean with healthy foods, not with supplements. Supplementing something that you like with maybe something else, something that you think you could change or tweak with something a little bit healthier, and work your way through it that way. It could be that you maybe add an apple to your breakfast, or you add a banana to your cereal, something like that, just to make it a little bit more healthy. I know you're thinking, well, that's extra calories, Amy, but if you start adding more healthy food in, you tend to have less room, because you're not so hungry. You tend to have less room for the unhealthy snacks later on, because these have got vitamins and minerals and fiber and all of that stuff as well. So that's all good. Then look at doing some exercise that you enjoy. It might be going for a walk, it might be walking the dog, it might be walking by yourself. Go for a run if you wish. Go to the gym and start lifting weights. I do recommend, if you've never been to a gym, get a personal trainer, because they can go through that, and I'll cover that in a moment. You could take up swimming, you could go to acroaerobics, you could play golf, you could join a sports team, you could go dancing. And I mean dancing like you join a rock and roll club or salsa dancing or something like that, not going to a club and drinking your body weight in booze or fizzy drink. So there's that. And by doing exercise, you're getting your heart rate up, you're doing something you enjoy, and also you're building muscle mass, which is going to boost your metabolism. So you burn more calories at rest. Again, let me know if this all makes sense. So the next thing is looking at things that you might not think of, like your sleep habits and stress levels. If we're stressed, and the whole world, I think, has been stressed this year, we do tend to comfort eat. If the sleep isn't optimal, our energy levels fluctuate, and that's when we tend to reach for the coffee or the caffeinated drinks like the energy drinks, chocolates and sweets and things like that, just to keep ourselves going. There's all those things to look at as well. And this is why I say take your time. You don't have to crash diet. You may have overindulged a little bit over Christmas and New Year, but that's only 2 weeks. You've got the whole rest of the year ahead of you, okay? Just think, if you did a little bit that was good for you every day for 50 weeks, because you've already done the 2, then where would you be by Christmas next year? Have a think about that. Now, what can you do alone? So all of these things you can do by yourself, but sometimes you might not have the support. So all of these things, you don't need to join a gym or a dance class. You can go out with friends, you can buy a hula hoop, you could buy something, you could buy a skipping rope, whatever. You could follow along with Joe Wicks on YouTube. Is that his name? Yeah, so there's all sorts of free things that you can do. YouTube have so many workouts that you can follow along for every kind of fitness level. So there's always something available for somebody without spending money. But what I do recommend is getting a coach, especially if you don't have anybody to support you at home. If you're cooking for the family and the kids want chicken nuggets and the husband only wants meat and 2 veg, then it's quite tough to keep on the wagon. And what a coach can help with, they can help with that support. If you're regularly checking in with that coach, they can be that support person. You can talk through it, and this is where a coach is really good as opposed to just a personal trainer, because they can coach you through it. They can see where you're having difficulties in your life and just give you some little tricks, tips and hacks to help just a little bit. They can also provide motivation, and they can provide accountability. I know with my clients, they've said, because I've got that appointment, I know you're waiting for me and I'm going to show up. If they just did it by themselves, they weren't going to do it. And that's the reason I get a lot of people, because they like that accountability. And I don't know about any other coaches, but I personalize it to my clients. I've had people who will take what you've told them and they'll run with it, and you don't need to see them for a month. But other people, they need you to hold your hand a little bit, and I see them once a week. It's all about working with who's in front of me and taking it easy. I'm never going to judge, never going to berate you, because what's the point in that? So if you do need any help with nutrition coaching or holistic health coaching, holistic core restore coaching, then get in touch or find a coach in your area who can help you, and see if you can just get those small improvements, whatever they may be. So I'm a health coach, you can get a life coach, but getting a coach or getting a friend group or something else that will help just support you and keep you accountable is going to be so much better than doing it by yourself if you're not an accountability type person. Okay, so that's it on SMART goal setting, SMART and holistic goal setting. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you'd like to work with me, I will pop a link in the show notes. Until then, be safe, have a wonderful 2021, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Women's Wellness Podcast. For links and show notes, please visit www.connecthealth.fitness/podcast. I would love for you to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when we release our next episode, and please share with anyone who you think might benefit. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing you soon.